What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Hustle and Muscle podcast. I am your host, Kristen. I am the muscle. And I'm here with my co-host, Chris, who is the hustle.
And if I keep working out, I'm going to take over the title of the muscle. That's
no, you're not. And we have a special guest today. We have Sophia Locke, and she's also super fit. So I'm excited to have her.
And possibly your future stepmom if you play your cards right.
Right. We'll dive into that. How's it going, Sophia?
I'm great. How are you two?
Good.
So we don't shorten your bio or cut you any less slack. Can you do a little brief intro and tell everybody a little bit about who you are?
Sure. I'm Sophia Locke. I'm an adult performer. I do professional adult film and then also OnlyFans. And I love it.
And just so we get everybody right off the bat, can you tell people where they can find you and follow you so we don't miss that part later on?
Sure. Yeah, it's underscore Sophia Locke underscore on Twitter or X, I guess now, and then also Instagram. So it's just my full name with 2 underscores on either side, or 1 on each side. And then my OnlyFans is the Sophia Locke. So relatively easy to find me. I'm a lot of places.
It's so hard. It's so hard calling it X now. I feel so dumb saying it. Like I still have to keep calling it Twitter.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's hard to look people up with that because it's just 1 letter. I feel like I still look people up on Google by putting Twitter.
And all your links are on Twitter. They can find everything there.
So I've actually done something I think is pretty nice for people where I have compiled all of my links and all of my professional scenes since coming back into the industry on a link tree in my bio on X.
On X.
Yeah.
Sounds like extreme sports.
Yeah. I guess you could consider what I do an extreme sport.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it does hurt my lower back, so I suppose that might be just me being almost 40. So.
And I thought it was just me.
We're all in there, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite drug of choice right now is ibuprofen and Tylenol.
Right.
Oh, let's get wild. Yeah.
So in the adult industry, I had no idea that you were in the adult industry. I had no idea. I don't do much research there.
Well, originally we were following you because you're so fit.
Oh, how funny.
I just follow like tons of fit people. I also follow a lot of people in the adult industry, but didn't like put 2 and 2 together.
Connected too.
Yeah.
I don't mind. What's that?
What came first? Like fitness, like fit Sophia, or adult industry Sophia?
So it's kind of funny. The 2 stories kind of intertwine a little bit. So I didn't start in the adult industry until I was 25. And that was with webcamming. Before that, I had definitely done some working out, but I wasn't into fitness to this level, right? So when I started in the industry, I was just kind of like normal athletic. I had run a marathon, but I didn't train for it, which was very stupid. I don't advise doing that. So I had done all these kind of fitness things, but I wasn't, specifically very fit. And then after changing my job from the hotel industry where I was standing all day at a front desk to sitting down and camming, I actually gained a lot of weight over, the first year and a half of camming. And I got to about 200 pounds or so. And then I'm 5'4". And then while working in the adult industry and seeing myself on camera every day, I saw the weight start to creep up. And then I just got really uncomfortable with it and realized I needed to do something about it. And then hired a trainer and lost 60 pounds over a year and a half. So that was while I was still working and doing sex work and trying to, feel good about myself during it. And so I've gone varying degrees of like physical fitness and focusing on that in my life. And what's really cool is that the people who have followed me for, I think, the 7 years before I left the industry for a while, they stuck with me through all those body changes. And so I changed like body types completely from like kind of curvy, like standard to like heavier for my frame for me. And then all the way to like pretty fit doing a fitness competition. And a lot of them stuck around through all of that, which was really lovely. It made me feel like it was more about personality than necessarily exactly what my body looked like that they were attracted to. So yeah, and then now getting back in the industry 3 years ago, I've just really, really focused on fitness, and I think I'm probably the most fit I've ever been.
But it's so cool that that those people all followed you right through your journey. I think people like that. It's like they get to know you and they love you and they're just like
Yeah.
they're along for the ride.
I think that's also one of the
Yeah.
things that you get with like even like OnlyFans now. I feel like a lot of people can show kind of like the behind the scenes a little bit too, instead of it just being a place of like a sexier version of Instagram. You can start putting a little bit more daily life in there, and I think a lot of people like to, you know, kind of like Patreon and all that stuff where they could pay and go in and see like the stuff you do outside of just work related stuff.
Right. Well, that's exactly how I structured my OnlyFans because I had that following that saw me, most days on camera and live and talking about my daily life because I never had a persona, right? I never was like a different person online. I just was myself authentically with obviously some boundaries for my safety and privacy, but it wasn't much of a change. Sorry, I'm in New York City, and so everyone's honking and everything in the background. Um, so when I got back in August of 2021, there was now OnlyFans. And I figured what I wanted to do and what would feel good to me would be to every day show what was going on behind the scenes in my actual life. Because that felt like camming. It felt like the old days where I would tell them what I was doing. So that's what I've done for 3 years is every day I've posted at least once about the behind the scenes on, a porn set or how I felt about the collab I just did or what it's like in the morning when I make my protein smoothies. And so that's just what I've kind of kept up. And that's the kind of more exclusive look at my actual life. So yeah.
Oh wow, I love that. It's like you paint a picture.
I guess it makes sense too, because if you're already putting stuff out there on like, public websites and everything, it's like
So much.
I've seen.
Now
but I feel like
you're like, okay, I know.
yeah, no, I've done research. I've started this research journey for many years.
That's what that was? That was research purposes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Research.
I write off all of my OnlyFans subscriptions as a tax write-off. Research and development.
I love it.
So when you left the industry for a couple of years, what brought that on? Like why step away?
So I had met a guy. It's tale as old as time. Of like I met someone and at first it seemed like he was totally cool with what I did for a living, which was at that point I had started to do professional adult work as well for companies. And so I had done that for maybe a year and a half, 1 or 2 a month, mostly for kink because they were my favorite. And so I was doing that. And then I met him and could tell that there was discomfort with what I did for a living. And so instead of saying, oh, well, this is what I'm doing and you can take it or leave it, I just did less and less and less until I had convinced myself it was probably smart to retire. I was getting older. I think I was, gosh, how old was I? Maybe like 32 or something at the time. Which now I know that was not at all too old. So I left, I like did real estate for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah.
That's a
and
total
did that in
switch.
Seattle.
I did not expect that.
It was a total shift. And after working for 7 years in that bubble of the adult industry with like, you can talk about anything. I was completely authentically myself. Suddenly I was around people who were like more religious,
Where were you at that
like
point?
Seattle, Washington.
Okay. So is that, I don't know, is it more stuffy over there? I'm not even familiar with it.
In general, no, but in the real estate circles, I was surprised to find out that yes,
Okay.
like posting Bible verses on Facebook kind of
Oh, wow.
levels. And so I was very buttoned up. I was kind of quiet, which is
You
not my
have to
natural
be.
state. And I think other people maybe thought I was religious because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable and I didn't know how to act in the normal world
You're like born
anymore.
again.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I allowed to say? What am I not? And it went fine. Like I did fine in real estate. But eventually, he decided he wanted to try and have a relationship with one of the women that we were seeing casually.
Oh.
And so, oh yeah. And so I said, well, I'm not here for that. Like, I don't want to have a relationship with you while you're having a relationship with someone else because all the dating we had done was casual.
Okay.
That was the agreement we had. And so, yeah, he said he'd regret it if he didn't at least try with her.
Okay.
And so we broke up, and then I realized how much I had missed all of the adult stuff. So I
Okay.
was like, I'll try again, and hopefully people remember me. It's been 5 years, but it was such a wonderful, warm reception, and it's been nothing but amazing. I wish I had never left,
So did
honestly.
you leave Seattle then at that point?
I did eventually because I immediately got into another relationship, which was another mistake. And I did long distance with a creator in Austin
Okay.
and moved there for a little bit. It unfortunately didn't work out. And so then I went, okay, everything is career focused now.
Okay.
That is my priority. My whole life is work in the gym. That's all I do
There you go.
now. And I moved to Vegas. I had lived there in my 20s and really liked it. And so I moved there and then went back and forth between LA and Vegas so much that I got a place in LA as well.
Oh,
And I
wow.
just go between the two. And that's all I do except for this mini vacation for a couple days right now to New York. So-
Is it a real vacation or are you working?
okay, so it's mostly a vacation.
That sounds like
But-
everything we do. We're like, oh, it's kind of a vacation, but we're going to work.
Well, I don't have a choice. I mean, I have like a script I need to study for a feature that I'm doing the very next day that I come back to LA. And there's like a music track with it. So I need to like kind of learn that as well. And so I'm doing that. And I'm also, of course, I still take daily content for OnlyFans. I still post on Instagram, but I'm not doing any shoots necessarily.
Okay.
So sort of.
Gotcha.
Sort of vacation. It feels like a vacation.
And then do you still do real estate, or when you left Seattle, you knocked that off?
I thought I was going to continue to do real estate because I didn't think anyone would remember me. I didn't think I'd be able to be successful again. I just really
Surprise.
missed being on the internet and being an exhibitionist and people seeing me because only one man had for 5 years. I was like, oh, I need all the men to see. Like, let's go. So I didn't think it would be a full a way to make a full income again. And it very quickly was. And so I quit real estate real fast. Yeah, this is way more fun. I didn't mind real estate, but this is absolutely more fun. So no, I don't do it anymore. I still get texts from, from investors and people where I'm on a list somewhere. But
Okay.
other than that.
So we talked a little bit about the, like you mentioned, like working out. What is your like workout routine now? Are you with a trainer? Are you doing your own thing, or how does that work?
So I have had a bunch of trainers, and I like having them whenever I feel like I'm kind of plateauing or I've lost momentum. But right now I'm in between trainers, and I actually use this workbook from Habit Nest. I don't know if you guys have seen those.
No.
But they have a bunch of different kind of workbooks. Some are nutrition ones, some are kind of like daily life ones, but then they have these workout dumbbell or just workout at home with body weight
Okay.
books, and they cover 6 weeks. And then they show you kind of the exercise for the day and a place to write in your reps and like how much weight and how many times and like kind of the effort you gave that day. There's a spot for that too, like out of 10. And it keeps me on track because otherwise I'd just do back and shoulders every single day. And they're like, girl, it's like chest and biceps today. Like, let's
Yep.
So,
sounds familiar.
So I really like their system. I look like a total nerd in the gym with a literal book
I was
that
going
I'm
to say, is
writing
it
in.
an actual book or is it like a web thing? So it's an actual book, which
It's
is
both.
so
I mean, you
old
can
school.
download you can download the PDF, I think, and
Okay.
I think they have an app. But there's something about writing it down
Yeah.
that just
Well,
feels
it's
so
also
tangible
powerful.
and
Mhm.
yeah, and it's been a way for people to talk about something when they try and hit on me in the gym. So there's that too.
It gives
It's
them
like, you're
an
so
edge.
organized. I'm like, no, okay.
What are you training for?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, are you competing? I'm always like, thanks, but no. That is like the best compliment.
Yep.
So what did you compete in? You did a
You did
bodybuilding
that for a
show?
little bit.
Yeah, I did bikini. I think it's NPC. Is that the name of it? It's been like 9 years,
Yep.
but I did a bikini competition and I just wanted to do it after losing that 60 pounds. I just wanted a goal to look like I belonged on stage. I didn't care if I placed, I didn't care. And I saw the pictures right after, and then I just burst into tears when I saw my trainer because she had worked so hard with me and I had done it so slowly and carefully and with no shortcuts that I was really proud of myself. I would never do another one. It was miserable.
Yeah.
But
I've heard that.
I was happy I did it once.
It's got to be such an emotional journey too, especially like because it's so subjective. Like you put your body through hell, you diet like crazy, and then you stand on stage.
Yeah.
And I've said this to Kristen before because she's never competed in bodybuilding, and that's not kind of like our circle.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's like, I was like, you look at these girls, we went to a bodybuilding show once, and you look at these girls all stand there, and I'm like, which one of these girls is going to get last place? And I was like,
And they
the
look
girl in
amazing.
last place looks insane. And I was like, you could
Yeah.
look the best you've ever looked, and you look incredible compared to the world, and you're going to get last place. And I was like, it's just so stupid. And like, it's just, there's no rhyme or reason. They just kind of look at somebody and pick the winner. But
Right. It's not like they're measuring like how big this muscle is compared to
Right.
the rest of your body, or like how much strength you have in it. It's so subjective. And I've heard even things about like it kind of depends on your relationship with the judges
Yes.
and whether you're kind of smiley flirty with them and like that kind of stuff too. And I didn't love that aspect of it. For sure.
Because it's subjective, and like I compete in strongman, so it is
Cool.
strength based, CrossFit strength based, Super League strength based. So if I don't show up strong that day and I lose, it's because I wasn't strong enough and somebody was stronger than me, and I'm okay with that. But to have somebody else give me the opinion of you don't look the way we want you to today, that pisses me off.
yeah, and when you have like
I'm so mad.
in like your sport, when you have like two girls deadlifting and it's who can lift the most weight, there's no like subjectiveness. Like one of you either lifted more than the other, and it's a clear defined winner.
Yes.
Right. And it's a level playing field from the beginning too. You're like around the same weight. You're in the same, you know what I mean? Like it's just
in not in CrossFit, but in Strongman and Super League, there are weight classes. So I was put up against people in my weight class, and you know, it was great. And there's no question, like Chris said, if you win, you won because you were the strongest. You lifted the most weight. You did the most reps. Like there's no question.
Yeah. Do you think that's a healthier kind of mentally place or thing to go for over aesthetics? Or is that something that like either one is fine?
I don't think any of it's healthy.
I don't
mentally.
think any of it's healthy. Like for me, CrossFit was great because I didn't have to cut weight, but my body still hurts from it. So I don't CrossFit per se anymore. I believe in like the description of it and how it's done, and I believe in like that, but I don't think that most of the movements are healthy for most people. Like I don't think people should be repping deadlifts just because it's in the programming for today. Like you're gonna hurt your back. Like we don't need to do that.
Right.
But cutting weight, when I cut weight for Strongman and Super League, like I got down to 127 pounds for Super League, and like I walk around anywhere between, depending on if I'm putting on weight or taking weight off, anywhere from like 140 to 150 is usually like where I am. And I cut down to 127, starting off at like probably 145 pounds. That is, and it happens very quickly. It's not like a year and a half time frame. We're talking like it's quick. You got to drop the weight. You got to water load, and you feel like crap when, you know, it comes down to game day, and that's
so
not a good
Super
feeling.
League, this sport that she's talking about, was filmed or was done in
Vegas.
Vegas at City Athletic Club. And what they did was, it was based on what you weighed in at and then how much you lifted compared to your body weight. So they did this like calculation of like, so it came down to like pound for pound, who is the strongest person.
So I wanted to lose as much weight as possible.
So she went going in at like in the morning for weigh-ins at like 133, and she was already like completely dehydrated and cut. And I was like, but she still had some energy and everything. So I was like, do you think you could lose some more? And so we were like, let's just push the envelope. So she put on like a garbage bag suit and went on the treadmill and just like walked with me for, I'd say, a good hour and a half, and just poured sweat. She had a spit cup, so she would just literally spit like as if she had tobacco, just spitting in a cup until the point where you have no more saliva in your mouth. And she was like borderline passing out.
Like walk me, like hold my hand and walk me to the scale.
Yeah,
like,
so she ended up
scary.
dropping like 6 pounds within a matter of like another hour or two on the treadmill. And then once the weigh-ins were over, we started just rehydrating as fast as we could, and then But it was.
Do
you feel like that really affected your strength, though? I mean, even just the cutting from the 145 to the.
You would think it would, but I trained as heavy as I could throughout the cut and everything, and I've done that for years. So I was always okay. I was never not okay with it. I had one strongman competition where I did get very sick. It was like my body was like shutting down in the middle of the competition. I was like, something's wrong. I should be able to lift this, and I can't. Like physically cannot. And I realized I had messed up my water load. You're supposed to have saliva like in your mouth before you start consuming food. And when I went back to my coach at the time, I was like, something's not right. I can't lift it. And he was like, well, how did your refeed go? I was like, I don't know. I ran right out and I ate right away. And he was like, you got so low in weight, you shouldn't have eaten right away. It should have taken you a good hour and a half to get saliva back in your mouth to break down the food. And I didn't know that. Never made that mistake again. But there's a whole process that goes into a refeed, and the refeed is even more important than the cut. So now I know that, but it was scary when you go to lift something and your body is like literally shutting down. It's really scary, especially you prep all that time for at that point it's for nothing. So that stinks.
Yeah, especially when you've worked that hard and you've kind of hacked your body to that point to have it's almost like a betrayal.
Yeah.
I imagine, you know?
Yeah, you feel like your body just let you down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, we're supposed to do this together.
We're a team.
It's like, you did this last week at home. Why are you not doing it now?
Yep.
Yeah, that's wild. The competitions, it all seems really intimidating to me. It's funny because after I had done the fitness competition, after I felt like I was in pretty good shape, there was a point in time years ago where I was looking for the next challenge, and I didn't necessarily want to do CrossFit. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll try the Ninja Warrior stuff, right?
Oh,
like the
cool.
kind of obstacle. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then I went to, I thought this was a great idea. And I went to this very beginner Ninja Warrior course, just class at like a gym in Vegas at the time. It was before I lived in Vegas this time, but in my maybe late 20s. And I went. And I've never been more aware of my own mortality. Like I couldn't jump over anything. It was so embarrassing. Like I feel like I'm strong, but it's just for show. Like there's no, it was embarrassing. And there are these 20 something year olds that are just leaping over things. And I don't think I finished one thing.
Oh, wow.
So like when the zombie apocalypse happens, you're probably the first to go.
Do not count on me for this.
You're not on our team.
This is a bad idea. I can maybe charm them, but I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll have other assignments when they show up.
Right. Exactly.
I'll show some cleavage, but I don't think that'll help.
That is always my go-to move.
Yeah. Well done, honestly.
So what do you enjoy most at the gym? Like what's your thing that you like doing? Is it like lifting heavy, cardio, just putting your body through hell?
I enjoy the boys the most. But I will say I go and I'm motivated by like sexual tension, which is such a bizarre thing to say, but like during COVID I did nothing.
That answer.
I weightlift, right? So I just do like the reps and I just want to get stronger and I'll do progressive overload in whatever way that is, more volume, more weight. So that's what I do basically, but I get motivated and excited about like pre-workout, fucking fantastic things in my headphones. And then I want to be watched and I want to watch. Right. Like it's literally like my exhibitionism that drives me. And so I know that a lot of it is aesthetic for me, but I justify that by my job by saying like, well, I need to look good naked. So it makes sense. But a good pair of like traps or delts on a man. And I am like putty on the floor.
Oh God.
I'm doing traps and delts tomorrow. That's my new workout split every day.
You heard it here first.
I'm such a gym bro, like in the bedroom too. It's obnoxious. Like someone will be doing something and I'll be like, oh, the striations like in your chest look so good. Like in the middle of like your quads are popping or like, oh, that bicep vein. Yeah, just like that. Yes, daddy.
Oh my God. There's probably no living with whoever at the time.
Oh, it's terrible. So oh my gosh. I just boost people's egos.
This is in your line of work. Because I don't really know how it all works, but do you get like say in the guys, or do they like pick the person for you, like when you have to shoot something?
So if it's for a company and not for a personal collab, obviously personal collabs, I get to pick my partner, right? And that's based off of somewhat attraction, but also business and cross promotion and what would sell for my branding and all of that stuff too. But when it comes to company work, I don't pick typically. I think there's one company that's like, hey, would you prefer this person? And that's the only one that I know of. Okay. But you have a no list with your agent. And so if there are people who you don't want to work with, or who have crossed boundaries with you, or you just don't like for whatever reason, then you can put them on your no list. And so when a company books you, then the director makes sure it's not with someone on that list.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
So I don't typically pick, I do play a stepmom in a lot of things because of my age. Now I'm 39. And so, what they look for and what sells really well right now for companies is the younger the guy looks, the better. And typically that is a look, not all the time, but like not a lot of muscle, very like thin, very small, very young looking. And so sometimes I do feel a little bit like, snoo Amazon mommy coming into this.
Yeah.
Right. I was going to say you have like a prerequisite where you're like, men must bench press 315 or you cannot work with me.
Or you can't ride this ride.
Yeah.
So I do a fair amount of filming in Europe. I go every couple of months or so. And what's really nice about the European companies is a lot of them, what they want is to see like hot man, who has a lot of muscle fucks like hot lady, right?
Okay.
And so I get
I
a
love
lot
that.
of what is my personal type is like fit men, like
Okay.
usually.
Well, now we know we should start watching more European porn.
Right. Yeah, for real.
That's what it is. And there are plenty of people who I really enjoy and who I'm attracted to or who I like as a human. I only work with people that like I like basically.
Okay.
But of course, yeah, when it comes to like very specific personal attraction and what I'd go for in my personal life, I'm not always going to be paired with that, and that's totally fine. I'm being hired to do a job and I love pretty much every aspect of it. So, happy to do it.
Does any countries pay better than the other? Like, is like the
No,
US like
you can have your own rate. I will say that in Europe, they typically will pay you less
okay?
because the people there will work for less and there's a lower cost of living.
And I'm assuming the
Okay.
guys make way less than the girls, right? I feel like
The guys make yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was
Keep
gonna
interrupting.
say, like, I just feel like, well, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like there'd be like a million guys who'd be like, I'll do it. Like, I'll do it for free. Like, I'll pay you to let me in that movie.
Right. And let me tell you how few can actually do the job. That's where you know what I mean? Like that's where
Wow.
it cuts off for sure. It is so difficult. I mean, nobody wants to hear the guys complain about it, of course,
Right.
because they're like, you're lucky you get to do this. But it is a difficult job that a lot of men's bodies can't do. Right. So with us,
Oh,
if we're not in
wow.
the mood, you can just slap some lube and you're good to go, and
Right.
if you can
Oh, I
act it well
see.
enough, you're fine. But with men, they need their bodies to perform. And there are like, ways to help with that for sure. But in general, yeah, the guys make on the straight side of the industry, where they're having sex with women, they're making about half of what women make.
Wow.
But I will say, we have to, pay for lingerie and wardrobe and our hair extensions and our Botox. They can like roll out of bed and bring a couple pairs of boxers and some t-shirts, and that's good enough for
Yeah,
their
it's like
stuff.
a regular
And
Saturday night then.
Amen.
sure,
I
so
gotta cover it all.
there are, I think, more costs behind the scenes for the women to kind of maintain a certain look that gets you hired. Your nails done all the time. You know what I mean? If you're shoot ready, it's expensive to just maintain, right?
Yeah, makes
Um,
sense.
And also another point to that is that the companies want new women all the time because the people who are paying for the content want to see the women typically, right?
Okay.
And so the guy, it's okay if it's the same guy in a bunch of videos. So the guys can work sometimes, 25 plus days a month, while there are some women who are lucky to work 3 to 4
Wow.
because
Okay.
the companies need, so that's why you network with as many directors, as many sites, as many companies as possible, because you won't get to work for that site again for at least a month to 2 months.
So it opens up a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, it does. But like with the guys, you can work for the same site 4 times in a week,
Wow.
especially if it's VR and they don't see your face. But,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
so they do make less on this side of the industry. On the gay side of the industry, they can make the same as female talent on
Wow.
the straight side or more.
Well, that's also even like the guy bodybuilders that I know. Like, I mean, so many of them are like, they keep it like hush hush in that industry, but it's like
Sure.
the amount of guy bodybuilders that are on OnlyFans or like they try to do it like on the sneak, like kill it, absolutely kill it with that
Oh, yeah.
fan base. And I'm like, man, I want to work out enough that I can get like a gay fan club.
Let's
That's
do
all
it.
I want.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
be fit
Yeah.
enough to have
Don't tempt
like,
me with a good time.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think both sides of the market are pretty saturated, but if you're, a man trying to get into it and really make the money without needing to rely on anybody else for your content or for companies for your content, um, catering to a male audience is the way to go, you know?
Yeah. It's
yeah.
definitely a niche market.
Yeah, and some women will pay for their porn, but the majority of people who pay for porn, I would assume, would be men.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And also like it's funny how many people too think that like because like what you do is like it's like a business, like you have to like run it like a business, and I'm sure the better you are as a business person in your industry, the more successful you're going to be. But it's like the amount of people that think I want to like they kind of like see what we do and they're like I want to join OnlyFans and but can I do it and make a lot of money, and I don't want to promote it, I don't want to put my face in it, I don't want anybody to know I'm going to do it, and like will I make money? And I'm like that's like opening a restaurant in the middle of the woods and telling nobody about it. I'm like, you're not going to get a customer. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to make it and just go all in and promote it and market yourself, you're not going to be successful.
And you have to be on it every day.
Yeah, people think like, I'll just create an account and I'm going to be rich. I'm like, that's not how this works at all.
So you're saying I can't just sell feet pics and suddenly make all the money. It's
right.
so saturated. And maybe at the beginning of OnlyFans, when it was kind of newer, you could just base it off of like, people in a smaller network knowing
somebody will find you because there's not a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's just, I don't think people realize that OnlyFans doesn't market for you. Like you definitely have to have a digital footprint or some sort of way to have a network of people to want to see you specifically, because you can get whatever you want for free on the internet. So the value is in someone being personally invested in you. Why would they spend money on you when they can get anything they want for free on Pornhub or wherever? So your toes, as beautiful as they may be, like aren't you, right? It's so hard to do it as a faceless creator. It's so hard to start in this market if you're not willing to put in the work, and if you don't love digital marketing or marketing yourself. It's really difficult, I think, otherwise.
And the amount of people that have like that, even that we know, that's like they'll do it for a month or two and they're like, even like YouTube for example, people are like, I want to start a YouTube channel and make a lot of money. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Like you're not going to make $1 for the first year. I'm like, we started YouTube probably in like 2016 and it just started with me like filming her in the gym working out, and I would like listen to a song and be like, I want to make like a music video. Like it was just like an artsy thing that I like doing. So I was like, I'll like, let's do like lifting the music and we'll make a little music video thing. Yeah. And like everybody like gave us so much hate. We owned the gym and people gave us so much hate. They're like, why do you just follow her around with a camera and film it? And I'm like, well, it's fun. I like it. And we like making cool stuff. And then it just started taking off. And now she's like at, I don't know, 500,000 subs on YouTube. And it's like, it's done really well and it's taken off. So. But yeah, people just don't have the stamina.
Well, and I think so much of it, and what it sounds like for you guys too, is authentically enjoying it, right? It started out with something that you just like to do. And then once you get that kind of like positive feedback loop of just people being like, we love this, and then you like doing it, and then it just keeps snowballing. I think that's where the success is just being genuinely into it. And I think people resonate with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like we started like with her, it was like just her in the videos, and I was like, well, your followers are just like a bunch of dudes. I was like, because we had a friend who was like, you should be in her videos, and I was like, people don't want to see me, like they're subscribing because they want to see her. And then like I would start to slowly get into her videos, and people would be like, oh, put Kristen more. And then people were like, we want to see like
spotting her from behind,
right? Yeah, like just smiling. People were like, just start filming more like day in the life stuff. And so once like I get into videos a little bit too, I was like. It just, people saw the realness and the behind the scenes, and it wasn't so fake and staged.
Yeah. I even call it like it's our channel. Like it's Kristen Graham, but it's like our channel.
I'm a supporting actor.
He's a supporting actor. Yes, you're a supporting actor.
Well, I think that's wonderful. And I love it when I can see couples who make it work, because it does get kind of complicated in this. I mean, and I've dealt with it so much, even dating within the industry, dating outside of the industry, when you can make it where it is genuinely both of you and you have people supporting that and not upset about it. I think it's just a really nice thing for your relationship too, I would assume.
That actually brings me into another question. Has anybody ever given you hate or given you a hard time about what you do for a living? Like friends, family?
Yeah, I mean, in general, no, because I've just come at it with such confidence at this point because I love what I do and I'm happy to maybe help change some minds about the stigmas around it, because I think they're inaccurate for the most part, of what people think the industry is. But I unfortunately lost my relationship with my mom over it,
Oh, wow.
because she was so embarrassed and devastated, and this isn't the girl I raised, and this
Yeah.
isn't what our family does, and you had other choices, which I know, and I chose this, right? So that's been one of the hardest things
That's
in my
hard.
life. I was 26 when I came out to her about webcamming, and just couldn't break that barrier of, women who do this are, I don't know, less than, right? As
Yeah.
Right,
opposed to
right.
saying maybe the industry is something different than I thought it was.
Right. And I mean, the
Um,
world is different than it was when our moms were kids. I'm 39 also, so our moms are probably around the
oh,
same
great.
age. But
Yeah,
the world is different now.
Yeah.
sure. I think with that kind of generation in general of feminism, I think there was no way where you could sell sex and have it be empowering. I think there was no framework for that because it was so run by men, or
Yeah.
it just wasn't seen as something to look up to or anything respectful. And I know that that has shifted, not completely, of course, but every time I have someone around my mom's age who says, this is done in a safer way than I expected. This is done more professionally than I expected. It seems like you are empowered by this. Maybe you're changing my mind about the kind of people who do this. It feels healing to me
Oh, I
because I
love
can't
that.
get through to my
Right.
mom, but I
But you've
can
gotten through to
maybe get
somebody.
through to someone else
Yeah.
who can see it differently than maybe they were raised to see it.
And it may even help somebody else, like somebody else dealing with the same situation with their parents, to have that, that peace because you've given that to them.
Well, I hope so. And I also, even as devastating as this has been, because I was always very close to my mom growing up, this wasn't something I ever thought could happen. Like, I didn't think that I could be disowned because of how close we were. Even with that happening, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I
That's
have
good.
this life that I have. I've said it before that, like, if I could build my life from scratch, I would have exactly this. Like, that's
I
how
love
happy
that
I
for
am.
you.
And I wouldn't give that up for just having my mom in my life without maybe knowing that her love was conditional. Right now, I
Right.
know that, and it's
Right.
unfortunate, and it's very sad. But I also just wouldn't change it.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was one
I think
thing we
mentally too, you have to be like pretty mentally strong and confident in yourself to be able to survive this industry. Like, I think a lot of people could get in and then get completely crushed. And then, especially if same thing, if you have like loved ones leaving you, friends leaving you, and now you're starting to question yourself, like, did I make a mistake? And you put all that burden on yourself, then it starts to lead to like that, like abuse and alcohol, self abuse, whatever it might be, where you just start to deteriorate and crumble. So I think mentally you have to be an extremely strong person to survive this type of industry.
Yeah. I mean, it
Right.
got
Well, and
to the
it's
point.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, and it's not even the industry itself, at least in my experience, that I'm surviving. It's the perception of the people outside of it that I'm surviving, right? Like, the industry itself, I've never felt pressured into anything. I've never felt unsafe, and I'm only speaking to my experience. And I also know that I show up um like relatively solid and confident, and so I don't get pushed into a lot of things. So I don't want to negate anyone else's experiences. Maybe they have different ones, but for me it's always been a really positive, um just a positive thing where it's felt like I'm surrounded by my people. Like, it feels like I found my tribe.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more of just surviving the stigma and what people might think of me, or the effect it might have on future jobs or family, or if I had wanted to have kids, like those kind of things. But it's society, not the actual work itself, that feels wrong. I've
Yeah.
never walked off a set or off a webcam session feeling bad about myself. Like, I've
Okay.
always felt pumped up and good and excited.
Yeah. So we had like we lived in New Jersey, but we had like a very toxic type of circle that we didn't realize was
Mhm.
toxic at the time, but you just live in it.
Sure.
And it was like we started like back in the day, like say Instagram. And then you all of a sudden she would post something that was like a sexy photo. And like I'd have guys
Yeah.
come up to me in the gym and like, did you see what your wife posted? And I'm like, yeah, I took the photo. Like, who do you think took the picture? I'm like, yeah, I know what she posted. And people were like, I can't believe you're posting this. And, or you have a daughter, or my kids are going to see it. And so eventually we're like, well, if we move to OnlyFans, then we can post that type of stuff there. And the only people that are going to see it are the people that want to pay money to go there. And then it's
Sure.
like, it started to evolve. And I was like, people can't keep making OnlyFans and the adult industry like such a negative thing. And I was like, I think, and I still think in the next year or two, OnlyFans will be the new Instagram. Like it's not going to be taboo where it was when it first started.
Right.
And I think it's just like the world is kind of changing the way they look at it. Like we said, like the perception I think is just changing and it's going to get better over time. But I mean, finally we had to just cut people out of our lives because I was like, it's just, people don't see it the way you do. And I was like, I'm not going to be surrounded and live the rest of my life surrounded by these people that are toxic and hateful towards us. And then once they saw us become successful in it, then it was like this jealousy thing and it just kept getting worse and worse. And finally now we found
the energy for it.
Now you're down here in the South and these people love it. Like
nobody like down here in the South, we don't feel that at all. Like there's no energy like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's so crazy. And like really South Carolina's like, if you've ever heard of like the Bible Belt, like we're actually like, we live there. Like, no, you can't buy alcohol on Sundays. Like it's part of it. But nobody's ever been judgy towards us.
And there's a lot of crazy people down here, but they all go to church on Sundays.
Yeah.
And we had like friends of us that they're just as crazy as us. And they're like, hey, on Sunday, you want to go to church with us? And I was like,
are you saying I need Jesus?
Yeah, I started questioning. I was like, are you saying like you think we need church? And they were like, well,
yeah.
Like,
maybe.
They're like, it cancels out everything. And I was like, I don't know if that's the case, but
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys could do your thing on Sundays, but yeah, everybody's super supportive.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
That's really encouraging to hear. Yeah. Well, because it's not harming anyone, right? And if you don't want your children to see this kind of content, then your device permissions need to be set up that way, right? I don't think any of us want, anyone under 18 seeing inappropriate like sexual content when they're not old enough to distinguish fantasy and reality. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm seeing all my friends with kids, everyone's having these conversations about consent that we never had. I just thought like I had to deal with how boys are, right?
Yeah.
And now I feel like, especially in this job, in this industry, I've had so many discussions. Like before I work, every single time we talk about do's and don'ts, right? Okay. Like, here's what I prefer you not do to me. Here's what I like. What do you like? What would you prefer that I not do to you? Like every single shoot, I have felt so like I know what the expectations are. More so than any restaurant I worked in any hotel I worked in, or in real estate. I felt like people were kind of slimy, trying to get in there, touch me. Yeah. There was like sexual harassment. But if I go on a set, I know exactly who's going to touch me and who isn't. And it's only my co-performer who touches me. They are careful.
Oh, wow.
Like I've had a director ask me 2 or 3 times to touch my hand during the photo set part of like, can I just show you where to place this so it looks better? And I was like, sure. And then he said, may I touch your hand? Like, yes, it's fine. Yeah. But these companies are so big, and whether it's because they care about the performers or they care about the liability and their jobs and the money involved, I don't care as long as, they're doing these actions to keep performers safe
too, which is really important.
Oh, say it again.
You're being respected, which is really important.
I feel that way. And I feel like out kind of in the real world, there's a tendency with dating or things like that to feel a little either slut shamed, or it's like kind of dehumanizing of like, oh, well, you do this, so of course you'll do it with me. And within the industry, that just doesn't exist. Everyone's like, yeah, cool, like so great, thank you so much, high five, and then have fun with your collab later. Yeah. Like there isn't this like magic goal of like, let me get in your pants and then also I'm going to look down on you for it.
Right.
There's still a goal to get in people's pants, but like it doesn't feel like it's this degrading thing outside the industry there is.
Like once you step into this world, like for us, I mean, we're nowhere near like what you do, but like you do learn quite a bit about people and like the things people are into. And it's like, I mean, I kind of enjoy it because I'm very like open-minded. And so I like to like learn.
Sometimes it's like, is that a thing?
Yeah. Like people like the weirdest like fantasies and fetishes where I'm just like, no, like I just want to learn more. I'm like, tell me like all about it. Like I want to like learn so much about this. It's just so interesting.
Paint the picture.
Yeah.
Well, everything is a thing, it turns out.
Apparently.
So like if you can think of it, someone has touched themselves to it. So here's one that I did really recently. Actually, the portfolio, the photo set just came out yesterday or last Saturday. So there was this site when I first actually before I got in the industry, there was a woman I met who had been brought over as a threesome present for my boyfriend at the time. It was like we were 24 years old. It was like just kind of this fun little thing where she was really fun and open-minded and super sexual, super hot. And so she came over and we all played around, but she told us that she had done fetish modeling. And I had never even heard of this. I was into BDSM at the time, kind of lightly, but she had gone and done photo shoots that were objectification photo shoots where she was naked, but she was a lamp in the middle of the room, or she was like a coffee table that someone would like rest their feet on. And so that is, you know, a fetish. So she would do those, but she had also done this Vor site, VORE, which is the fetish of like eating someone or being eaten. And so there are a lot of images that way, or videos, fake videos, of course, of like someone being consumed. Sometimes it's like monster stuff, like you're being consumed by a monster, or you're being like cooked. And so there was a website that she had done called Mookie's Kitchen. And she showed me the pictures, and they were like these beautiful pictures of her like covered in oil, like being like spit roasted over like a girl helping spit roast her. Of course, all of it's, you know, like fake, but it's like, you know, a corn cob in your butt and like a, you know, and like it was just fascinating to me. And I was completely blown away by it.
Wow.
So fast forward to 14, 15 years later, one of my fans on OnlyFans said, "Hey, have you heard of this site called Mookie's Kitchen? He's been, you know, shooting some girls." And I went, "Well, of course, that's the first site I ever heard of that was a fetish site." And I went to it, and he was still doing these photo sets 15 years later. And so I reached out to him and I said it would be so much fun to go full circle. And Vor isn't a personal fetish of mine, but I do like some objectification stuff. So like parts of it kind of work for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm just like an object or something to be looked at or watched or consumed in some way is fine. So I connected with him and he had a brand new oven that had been made for him that, you know, was obviously like a prop oven, but it fits a human and has all the red lights and looks like so like delicious, I suppose, like makes things look that way. So I went and I shot with him, and just the nicest guy. He had the cutest cat in his studio, which of course was a plus. And I got covered in oil and honey and sliced peppers and potato slices around me. And we took these photos. I just posted some on Twitter. They look incredible.
Wow.
And it was so much fun and so fucking weird. And I'm here for it. Like consensual, who cares? No one's being hurt. If this is like a role play that you have in your mind, fantastic.
How fun.
Like stick a fork in me. I'm done.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, it's like funny,
so
like learning
that,
about that stuff. But I'm like, doesn't do anything for me. But I'm like, sounds cool. But,
sure.
Not my cup of tea.
Consenting adults
Yeah.
do whatever the hell you want with your bodies and with other people who want to play. I think it's really fun to be able to play in these like role play worlds, and that's why I like doing the more extreme shoots, either for adrenaline purposes or because it's fun to kind of go really weird with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I did a site called Parasited, and it's about being or like giving someone else like a parasite.
Okay.
And then it consumes them, and it's almost this like zombie like sex where your eyes, like you have white contacts and you have like veins in your head. And then there's just slime everywhere. And they have these like special effect, like little parasite things that are like that you have in your mouth or have in other places. And then you infect the other woman. And then you have this kind of like crazed zombie like sex. It was really fun. Like horror porn, basically.
Yeah.
We got in trouble once on OnlyFans. We have like a lot of snakes in our house. We have a snake breeding business. And so we have like some of the big like Britney Spears types of snakes. So she did like Britney Spears type of photos, and we got like shut down on OnlyFans.
You can't post
the animal part.
Yeah. And I'm like,
but it wasn't like, it was, I mean, I could have posted the photos on Instagram. Like they were beautiful photos.
Yeah. And they didn't tell us why. They were just like it was just gone. Like we woke up and it was all gone. And
yikes.
So we were like, it took us a while to figure out what happened. And everybody's like, where did it go? And we were like, I don't know. It's just like, we can't log in. And then finally we like fought for it and got it back and everything. But I was like, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Oh, you lost your account because
my whole account
they didn't even warn you. Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah. So imagine like not even being able to pull out your money. Like your money is like, it's just, your account was gone. So we were like, oh
Oh,
my
that's
God,
so
all
scary.
of the money is like, we can't pull it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but live and
Oh,
learn.
that's so scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a couple years ago.
Yes. That is, I mean, one of the things that I try and do is diversify my income because I worry about all of my eggs being in one basket
Yeah.
financially, especially
Oh
when they
yeah.
have that kind of control
Mhm.
and it could just go away all tomorrow. And so it is scary, like, you know,
Yep. Yeah, we do the same thing. We are all over the place.
Yeah. What did I say? 7 streams of
great.
income to be
Yeah.
wealthy. So it's like, yeah, just
That's
diversify
so
in every
smart.
way imaginable. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Own whatever content you can, put it wherever you can, have some passive income with that coming in. And then I just use, like, I use the professional shoots as exposure opportunities, right? So then when they go out with their distribution network they've already built over years, then
Right.
ideally people see me, like me, Google me, want to see the personal day to day.
Yeah.
And then I get content even from the day of doing those scenes that I can use for OnlyFans. So it's very cyclical. Like it just all kind of feeds into each other
Yes.
at this point.
And that makes it
So
easier.
I'll, yeah, yeah, it all kind of helps the other parts of the business out
Mhm.
too. So, and
yeah.
it's exciting. Honestly, it's fun.
Well, I do want to say thank you so much.
Yeah.
We are honored that you agreed to come here and meet with us.
Yeah. This is fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it was
And
my honor. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys just, you look great. What you're doing is great. And thanks for chatting with me.
set up a gym date next time we're in
Yeah,
Vegas together.
definitely.
Oh, I
So
would love that. That
yeah,
would be so much fun. Yeah, it'd be fun to be out with you
we've
guys
pretty
and
much hit,
get
I
a good
think, every
workout in.
gym. That's all we do. Like we go to Vegas, it's like we have to plan the gym sessions around everything
Yeah.
else. We're like, photo shoots have to be around this time frame because we have the gym at this time.
Yeah, because I won't party without training. So I'm very like, we're going to Nashville tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll be training every morning,
Fun.
and then we get to go out and party.
Yep.
See, I get made fun of in Europe for this because they don't understand. They're like, "But you're on vacation." And I said, "But I'm going to the gym."
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
said, "No, we don't understand." But it's absolutely a priority in my life and
Yeah.
it's fun, knowing other people who feel the same way.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Going to the gym and working out is like it's like therapy to me. It's like people meditate, fine, you do that. This is my meditation. Like I just gotta go sweat, get it in.
Awesome. Well, we'll put all the info in the description down below, so that way you guys can find her and see more of her if you'd like to.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
I appreciate it.